Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday night of Let's Talk Benchrest. And looks like we've already got 21 viewers out there tonight, and the side chat's already taken off. So, welcome, everybody. I encourage you guys to interact in the side chat and follow along with us. And if you've got any input on any of these topics, please feel free to type it up. And we're going to continue this little segment we were doing. We started out talking about cleaning rifles, bench rest, and then we kind of got into topics of maybe putting a rifle together. So we talked about optics, and we talked about barrels, and we talked about actions, and we've talked about cleaning. So tonight we're going to move forward and cover two topics in one show, which is going to be stocks and chassis. And later on in the show, we're going to get to some triggers. And hopefully, we will have this rifle ready to assemble. And we can move on to ammunition testing, some center fire things, maybe some special guests. But, anyways, that's all things we got to look forward to coming up. But up first tonight, I'd like to introduce from the back room Justin Lowe.
Hello, everybody.
Justin,
Glad to be here tonight.
how was your week, buddy?
Pretty nice weather. Got a lot accomplished. So hopefully
Deal.
summer's near.
I've seen you've been working around the range up there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All right, well, up next, we'll bring this guy on here that I feel like brings a lot of knowledge to the table, and that is Rimfire Dave.
Hi, everybody. It's always a pleasure to be here and talk with everybody.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on here, buddy.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. It's always a privilege. And I'm ready to talk gun stocks tonight.
Gun stocks. I'm hoping you can enlighten us a little bit. So you'll try. All right, up next we got Hasbro.
Hey guys. Oh, I'm tired. I was telling these other guys I'm tired today. So if you hear snoring and sleeping, it's not Chad this time. Maybe me. Good to be with you.
Been known to go to sleep on somebody's show before. All right, up next from out in Minnesota, we got Minnesota Mike from MN Shooting Sports. You're muted, buddy. Muted.
Good night, everyone. Well, I guess that's the wrong way to go. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Yeah, it's been a long week. Worked more than I thought I was going to this last week. Didn't get to that match last Saturday because I was all loaded up, ready to go. And about 5:45 in the morning, I got a phone call from my lead man that he was being loaded into an ambulance in a traffic accident on his way to work. So,
Ouch.
Oh,
but
wow.
he's okay and everything's good there. But it just added a day to my week that I wasn't anticipating this last week. So,
Yep. All right. Up next, we got Southern Rifle, that better known as George. How you doing, George?
Doing okay. Glad to be here, man. Glad to see y'all. It's, look forward to it every week.
All right.
nice to see you, George.
Yep,
Man.
sure is. All right, guys. Up next, be the last one in the room. We'll call him out here, but I just let you guys know we may have a visitor tonight, and I invited somebody new, and just depending on how their schedule works out this evening, they may jump on later. But right now, we're going to bring up. And I invited somebody new, and just depending on how their. There you go. Turn it down. Up next, we're going to bring out American Hillbilly. He's the one that helps me make this show happen.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? Good to be here, fellas.
Glad to have you. Well, has the wind calmed down out there yet? You getting to shoot some more challenge targets? I seen you shoot one. Was it this week you put a video out?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I shot Mike's target he did for
Oh yeah, Commando, Sick Bay
yeah, the
Commando. Yep.
Sick Bay Commando. It
Yeah,
was a lot of fun. It was still windy, but it's better than March. But if anybody has the email for the month of March, I need to like email them and say, "Hey, March is over. Stop the winds because
Yeah.
we don't need them anymore right now."
I went to the range this morning after a doctor's visit, and it was just to get my medicines renewed and stuff. And then I went to the range afterwards. And when I got there, it was dead calm. And I shot one video and got another rifle out and started shooting it. And all of a sudden, the wind started whipping, and you could see the weeds in the background moving. It got out of hand. But we got a couple good videos made today. So, as I said in the intro, we're going to talk a little bit about rifle stocks and chassis and a little bit of trigger talk. And so we've covered a lot coming up to this, and I appreciate everybody that's gotten a side chat and told us a little bit about what your techniques are and your processes. And that's what this is all about, just to discuss among us, because we all got different techniques. We all got different ways that we do things. And we're just here to share what's worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. And we don't claim to be professionals at this stuff, but I think everybody here has had successful days at shooting some Benchrest targets. So first up, we're going to talk about stocks for 22 Benchrest. And I guess our first stock we'll talk about is for semi-auto. And if you were going to build a semi-auto rifle, like a 1022 or Thompson Center or whatever, what stock would you pick for that 1022? Or it could be a chassis. And if it is a chassis, explain why you prefer a chassis. But I'll go first. I mean, I've built plenty of 1022s, and I have a couple. I've had a couple that was in laminate stocks, that was the Ruger factory stocks. And actually, one of the best shooting 22 rifles, 1022 rifles I have, is in a laminate stock. And those was probably, if I'm not mistaken, they were probably made by Boyd's stock for Ruger. They look a lot like a Boyd stock. But anyways, then I got into building rifles, and I tried the Magpul Hunter, and a couple other of the plastic stocks, and it just seems like they wasn't rigid enough. They had flex in them or whatever. So Justin told me one time to, if I ever ran across a Bell and Carlson stock, to try it out. And I got a hold of one, and to this date, I think that's probably the best 1022 stock that I've had my hands on. It's solid. So I've never had one in a chassis, although I've always had a cankering to get one of those Oryx chassis and try a 1022 in a chassis. I never have bit the bullet and done it yet. So what about you, Justin? What's your semi-auto stock solution?
Yeah. I guess for Benchrest, my favorite 1022 stock will be the Bell and Carlson that Chad's referring to. I think they call it the Anschutz style stock. They make several 1022 stocks, but the particular one that I like is an Anschutz style. Looks like an old 54 type stock with a vertical grip. Really solid stock. I'm not real big on 1022s or semi-autos, so my kind of limited on what I've done with those.
What about you, Dave?
I don't fool too much with semis like 1022s, so I don't have much information I can share with anybody. So I'm going to get a pass.
All righty. George he got you signed down there. I'll pass.
I got it handy.
All right, Hillbilly. What I know you got a 1022 style that I think came from Bear Creek, maybe.
Yeah, and it is a Bear Creek, and I don't know how to explain that stock, but it has kind of like a rubber type finish on the outside, and it's really grippy, and I really like it. And the only reason I would change that into another stock would be, just basically for bench rest shooting. And so, Time Boy's right. Yeah, High Point don't make any. So that's the hillbilly.
Yeah.
So, you're exactly right, buddy. I've not bought any aftermarket stocks. That's something that I'll look at in the future and stuff. But
I actually think that stock you have is an aftermarket stock. I think Bear Creek uses the Hogue overmode, is what they call that. So it's rubberized overmolded. I think it's a Hogue stock.
yeah, that's what Tommy Boy says. It's a Hogue. So yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I really love the texture and the feel of that stock.
Yep.
I really like it.
So the
I have
new
one.
the new Bagara BMRX that I have is rubber overmolded, and I like it. I do.
Yeah. The
So
texture and the feel of it it's really nice. It really is.
this next guy right here, I know he's got a custom 1022. So what did you go with?
I've got 4 and I'm working on 5. So I have a problem is what I have.
Yeah.
The very first 1022 I got had the laminate stock and the hammer forged twist barrel.
Yeah.
Okay? And while that shot well, it was a 1-inch gun, maybe occasionally a 3/4-inch gun. So I couldn't stay there. You guys know me. And so I had upgraded. So what I've done is I've had that stock. I've got the factory plastic stock with a band. I just keep that gun as a benchmark, right? Everything else is benched against that. Then I've got an Archangel stock, which is a pretty good deal for the money. It's the plastic stock. You do a little bit of work to it, it's okay. Not great, but okay. But for pure precision, then I stepped up to KRG Bravo. That's the recent one that I'm working with now. And the jury is still out on that one because when I first put my action in it, the barrel hit the front of the action. It would flex enough that when you put it on a bipod, it would hit the barrel. And I was back and forth with them on it's like, hey, this isn't right. And they're like, oh, well, it's within clearances. And yeah, no, it wasn't right. So I fixed it myself, but the jury's still out. But the absolute best, I mean, I did that one because they had it on sale, is the Oryx by MDT. Okay, that thing is so rigid, so comfortable, and there is no movement of that action and barrel in that chassis. Now, the KRG has an aluminum rail inside of it, so it's a chassis system, but it's not as good as that Oryx right there. That's exactly the one I have. And it is hands down the best I've ever shot in a 1022.
So Tommy Boy says all Ruger barrels are hammer forged. Yeah, but the one he's talking about is one that came out. It was a Target model, and I've had 2 of them, and they're in a laminate stock. And it's a bull barrel, and it's got a high gloss finish, and the barrel has a spiral look to it. And I got one. I had one, and I've recently sold it. It shoots really good. And then I got one just like it that was rebarreled with the Green Mountain barrel, and that's the one I said is probably my top shooter. So there's nothing
Yep.
wrong with nothing wrong with a laminate stock for sure.
And you'll
What
get
about
into
you?
that later.
What about you, Mike? You got into the 1022 world here not too long ago.
Yeah, I've only got the one. And it's that heavy barrel, and it came in the whole rubber overmolded stock, and I do like the stock because it's heavy. The rifle in general, even with the heavy, it's not just because of the heavy barrel, but I think that stock is probably heavier. I don't know what's underneath it, but the molding, but it feels good in the hand, and it's got a nice wide forend on it, so it sits well in bags and stuff like that. But that rifle, when I get done tinkering with some other stuff, that action is going to go into a MDT field stock. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. I should and just get it so I've got it when I'm ready to. But I really would like to drop it in that just because I really am liking that field stock, and I think in for that rifle 1022, I think that more vertical grip, the better posture of the hand, where I lay my thumb at would just be so much more natural. Not to mention other things that we're going to talk about here at some point that whole overmold doesn't, just come with where you gotta tweak it to get what I'm looking for. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yep, I seen Cyclops Joe over there in the side chat. So he's already at it. He says he uses his 1022 at the range and fast rapid fire to stimulate his urethra.
Okay. Hi. Hey,
Yeah.
Mike, you mentioned that field chassis. I just put that on my Savage Mark II, and I'm liking it.
What
Pretty
I
good.
Yep.
It's yeah, it's a
George,
lot for what you're paying.
Yep.
George, I had a sneaking suspicion that I was going to get that sign. So he's a bolt action man. All right. So the next topic we got is do you like cheek risers or cheek pads? And what do you use? And Mike, you may have one to show up and as an example that I think I put on my Bagar and I really like it. So um, I like a cheek riser because I like to be able to adjust my stock to where I get my eye right where it needs to be in the eye box, and when I touch my cheek to that rifle, it's in the same spot every time. I know a lot of people don't touch their cheeks to the rifle, but I do. I mean, it's kind of like shooting a bow and arrow for me. I like to have the same anchor point every time. Same thing with my rifle. I like to have the same anchor point on that rifle every time, and I do like cheek risers, and I do like using a cheek pad. So, Justin, what about you?
Depends on what I'm doing with the rifle. Shooting from the bench, I typically try to get the right height scope rings if possible. So, you know, don't really have to have a cheek riser, but some setups, I like a cheek riser. They're okay. But I typically like to get my ring height to where I don't have to use one from the bench.
What about you, Dave? Do you use cheek risers?
I do use a cheek riser, and then I remove them, take it completely out when I shoot. That way, I don't have any contact at all with my cheek on the stock.
Yep.
I'm a no-touch shooter.
Yeah, I thought I recalled you saying that.
It's something you have to learn.
Yep. Hillbilly.
I take them right out.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Joe out there. We're talking about the height of your stool you're sitting on. It makes a difference. But I can see we're being consistent. Lots of years of shooting bow and arrow and this and that. I definitely think there's probably a plus in there, but I try to keep my cheek off the rifle, and maybe that's not the right thing to do, but I figure as much as me not touching that rifle is probably a better thing, and so.
Hasbro?
Yeah, I want cheek risers pretty much in everything except my muzzleloaders that I'm going to shoot from a bench. But I'm real careful, kind of like Dave was saying. It's like I'm really careful not to put a lot of pressure on them, but I use them just to sort of help me get in the scope the same way every time. It's a comfort thing. Then I try not to lean into them,
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what about you?
I prefer a cheek riser or a makeshift cheek comb or whatever you want to call it on stuff. That just comes from the military and shooting an M16 A1 and A2 accurately, and being taught that you have to have that that cheek well, proper eye relief, all those things, and that's just what is natural to me. To not have my actual cheek, even if it's just touching it, is just off on me. So for me, I'm just the opposite, but it's not what I grew up shooting with, and I just carry that wanting that cheek riser into every other discipline. So, and yeah, I've got examples if you want to talk about them.
Yep.
I got the foam.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, one of my favorite cheek risers for like say that whole Gober mold. I know Chad keeps calling it a pool noodle, but here in Minnesota, where your pipes freeze and stuff, it's piping insulation that you put over
Yeah.
something, and you can just put a slit over it. And this is tape that you see a lot of precision shooting guys that put on their front of their scopes. It gives you grip, but what it is it's if you're a farm boy at all, or if you've ever taped up a horse's leg, that's what this is for. And you wrap this around your stock and you add more of the foam to it, and you can get any size or height of cheek riser you want that's easily removable for about $3. So uh, and then my other favorite way of doing it is like on the Budget Mark II, roll of black duct tape and an old Savage AccuStock cheek riser. You just cut the little nubs off the bottom or something similar to this, and you slap that down and duct tape it down, and you got a cheek riser there too. So,
All right, George, do you use cheek risers or do you just use a straight stock?
It depends on what I'm doing. For the most part, I use I don't use it. I shoot free recoil. I don't touch the gun unless I have to. But like if I'm shooting back here off the deck, which off a bipod, which is mostly what I do, I about have to put a little cheek into it because I'm using that protector bag in the back, and it's just easier if you cheek it a little bit when you're shooting off bipod. To me, anyway. But other than that, no, I don't. Just regular bench rest. I don't touch the gun at all.
So, moving on, we're going to get into more of the stock portions of it, and the first thing that we got here is, do you like to run free floated, um, or do you like to use the pressure points? And like the Bell and Carlson stock that I was talking about, it came with pressure points in it. It is for a heavy barrel, but it's got two pressure pads in it, and when you torque the action down, they actually uh, fit to the barrel, and then therefore you're not free floated. So the gun did not shoot well with those pressure points. So I took a sandpaper and a piece of round stock and I ground those pressure points down to where it's completely free floated, and now it shoots better. So I I tend to check all my rifles for free float. I like free float. So Justin,
Some guns like free float. Um, Seems like you run into a lot of problems with harmonics whenever you do free float one. If they have a pressure point, seems like they aren't as sensitive to harmonics. But every gun is going to be different, and every barrel's different and wants something different, you know. But like the old 52s, most all of them had a barrel band and pressure points. They all shot really well, but normally the theory of free float, makes more sense. Some of my guns are free float, some of them have pressure points, and I really don't know what will be better. Just whatever works for that rifle.
what about you, Dave?
Free float all the way. I bid my barrels out about an inch and a half out the barrel from the action, and if it works, I leave it. If it doesn't, I remove it back to the action. But 90% of the time, it's all free floated. That's what I was looking at.
Hillbilly?
Yep, all free float.
Yeah, for me, it's free free float. Let that thing go commando, all natural. Let it do what it wants to do.
I was worried when Mike brought up Commando. I was thinking that video is going to go south, but it didn't.
Hasbro.
Free float. I even free floated the one I told you I had the barrel band on, the factory
Yep.
one. It still looks like that, but it's actually free floated. I went in and worked the stock, and it helped, right? So every one of mine is free floated, and any of the bench ones are all are bedded or chassis.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm a believer that the barrel should, not be in contact, so free floated. But I'm also kind of like what I think Chad or Justin has said, that it kind of depends on the rifle. I've had some that had bands and stuff, and if you just mess with the torque on the action, it would make as much difference as, I think the torque of the action screws is probably more important than anything else. Is, I guess, what I'm trying to say on that.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
George.
Free float,
Free float.
just about in every case. I mean, if you've got a sporter barrel and you're trying to make it shoot, a lot of times you'll have to put a pressure point on it to get it consistent. But in general, free float.
All right, so real quick, we're going to get ready to call out the side chat here, and Hillbilly will be calling out the side chat. So if you want your name called out in the side chat, type in the word stock, and Hillbilly will call your name out here in just a moment. But while we're waiting for everybody to type their name in, I was going to add to the free float dilemma there, if you will. The free float is not only about the barrel not touching the stock, it's also about the barrel not touching you. So I have witnessed firsthand at the range a new shooter that will come in and set their rifle on the bench, and they got bad habits of setting their barrel on the rest instead of their stock. So when you set that barrel on the rest,
Yeah.
of course you're messing yourself up, and you're not going to see accuracy. Also, I've seen people that will they'll lay their gun up on the rest, and they'll take that left hand, and they'll either grab the top of the scope or they'll uh, accidentally have their hand out there on the barrel. So when you lay your hand on that barrel, you're doing the same thing by touching that barrel as if it would if the barrel was touching the stock. You're changing the harmonics. So it's important that you keep your hands off the barrel as well as the stock off the barrel if you're going to run free float. So and then also make sure you watch and pay attention to where you're laying the gun so that you're not uh, having it touch up against anything that would also change your barrel harmonics, if that makes sense. So um, you guys you guys keep typing stock in there. If you want Hillbilly to call your name, and Hillbilly, whenever you're ready, you can start calling them out, buddy.
You betcha. First of all, I'm gonna bring this up. Every Tommy Boy says that's why we wear a skirt in a competition shoot to check for the wind change. That's a good idea, buddy. Yeah, wear a kilt maybe. You betcha. So let's call these people's names out here on the YouTubes. I believe first in we got Chris Lang out there. We got Tommy Boy. We got Pat in the bunker. We got living in West Virginia, Steve. Good to have you. We got Vanessa Kitty out there. We got Fuku YT, also known as Boomstick. We have Roger out there, Roger Cochran. We got Del Pogue. And let me scroll on down here. We also have Ron 2A Matters. We have Pick out there. He says a stock for Hillbilly. And let me get on through here. And we got Chad out there, Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies with stock. We also got Dale Pogue. And I believe that's it so far. It does show that we have, let me look here real quick. We got 27 watching. And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Show Chad some love. So appreciate each and every one of you for being here tonight.
Yes.
Oh, we
absolutely.
also got Rimfire Dave.
Absolutely. We appreciate everybody being on here and participating. Next, we're going to talk about chassis. And do you like using chassis? And if you do or you don't, give an explanation as to why. I have 2 rifles that are in chassis and they're centerfire. And they're in chassis because that's the way I bought them. So I'm not going to say that was my preference. It's just the way they came. I have thought about building a 22 rifle in a chassis in case I ever wanted to go down that rabbit hole of trying PRS and doing positional shooting and such, because I know in listening to like Mike and people that do that, you want that chassis so you can add that weight and get that thing solid and balanced. And if I was ever to go down that road and get into that, then yes, I would be open to a chassis. But I'm probably more of a stock guy. Wood. I love wood. So these old guns, I like getting them and being able to take a steam iron and steam the nicks out of them and take some linseed oil and wipe them down and get them shining again. And I have an appreciation for those older wooden rifles. So, Justin, what about you, buddy?
I'm not a big chassis person. I like wood stocks, and I guess for utmost accuracy, probably um, you know like McMillan style stocks or HS Precision, um, hand laid fiberglass stocks. I'm not real big on laminate. I like walnut stocks. On older rifles. The main issue I have with chassis is typically they're not really set up very well for the bench. For you have to add bag riders and stuff like that to them to get them to shoot off the bench. That's really my only downfalls to them. But as far as the way they're bedded and floated, you know, that's definitely their pros, I guess.
What about you, Dave? I think I know the answer to this before I ask, though. You're not a chassis. You're
I
not a
am
chassis
a.
guy.
I'm not a chassis guy, but chassis were definitely an improvement for the average guy that don't have the ability to bed them and pillars in them and do all the work needed on a fiberglass or a laminate or wooden stock. With a chassis, they're already set up. All you have to do is put your action in it, put the bolts on it, check the torque, and you're ready to go. They made life very easy for a lot of people. And I think chassis are going to be around for a long, long time to come. I prefer wood, laminate if I can get it. I have fiberglass, I have composites, and I have one chassis. But you throw it in the chassis, I know what the torque is, boom, it's there. So I'm a wood man, but chassis definitely help the average shooter.
Hillbilly, what's your preference?
Well, like a lot of dudes, I like wood, but most guys do. So I I wouldn't have, I would like to try out a couple nice chassis. I've not got the opportunity to actually really shoot, a nice chassis. So, I mean, I really don't have an opinion of it because, I've not had that opportunity. I've shot like a cheaper one before. And on that one, other than basically, having, a hole for your thumb, on the grip and stuff, it wasn't anything very special, but it was not a very expensive chassis by any means. So, yeah, I would definitely like to try one out, maybe build a gun, build one someday.
Hasbro.
The last 5 rifles I've built all have chassis or chassis subsystems, and that's primarily a couple of them are PRS style shooting, so you need it for the weight, you need it for other reasons, but um, they do lend to accuracy, kind of like Dave was saying there. It's like they're super simple, and you can torque the same spec every time, and that's a big deal. Now that said, my older guns are all still wood. My custom muzzleloaders are all still wood, but actually they're a bit different. Maybe someday we'll talk about that separately, but they're actually bedded the entire length of a 42-inch barrel.
Wow.
Okay? So it's a little different game there. But yeah, I do appreciate wood. And when I have a wood stock of a normal modern style, it's gonna be pillar bedded. So
Mike.
I like them all. They all bring something different to the table. A lot of times, I guess what I would say is people don't even realize that they may have a chassis system. If you're shooting a B14R, you're shooting a chassis that has an aluminum chassis underneath that polymer that
Exactly.
runs, from one end to the other in that thing. So, and it's aluminum block bedded, which is why that's the beauty of the chassis and the aluminum is it is so forgiving for the average Joe, the primitive Pete, that all I know is turn screw till it tight, and then you're good for the most part. So that's the beauty of chassis systems, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
It is.
George.
Just like everybody's saying, for the ease of use, the chassis is the way to go, especially for a new shooter, because you don't have to worry about torquing as much, right? If you use a wood stock or a plastic stock, man, the torque on your screws is crucial. but with a chassis, you ain't got that. Myself, the closest I'll ever get to a chassis, it will be one of those Wooks stocks. Is that how you say it, Wooks?
Yep.
One
Wooks,
of those,
Wooks,
with the longer inserts and stuff.
WOOX. Yep, they're
Yep.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. They got some real pretty inserts you can put in those. Now,
They're not as pretty as that
to
dasher
me,
you got.
Take
yeah, yeah, but it's
take
painted.
a look.
That's
Take
there's
a
a lot
look
of paint
at a
job done.
foundation stock too.
That dasher you
Yeah,
got,
yeah.
man.
I've seen those.
Every time I see that dasher, I'm like, man, I love that stock. It's pretty. I think you can see yourself in it.
I'm kind of that way with the
You can't.
Wooks,
You have to
and
see
it's
that
like,
stock because it's got a ghosted uh per, a ghosted pearl marble under it, under that dragon red.
Yep.
Jesus, man, it's pretty.
You
I
can
put it
tell
in
it
your
pop.
home for a small fee.
Oh Lordy. Yeah, I
I'm
don't
kind of
need
so I'm kind of interested in those Wooks chassis. You ever see those? They have a wood look, but they're a modern
Yeah,
chassis, and it's like they're kind of cool, but yet they're a little weird. I'm not quite. I haven't decided to spend $1,600 on one either, but they're kind of cool.
We
I agree
we
with you.
we had a guy a guy at our club that got one, but he didn't get the two-tone wood and black. His was all black, and it's a solid chassis. I mean, I like it, but I like the wood better. I like the ones that's got wood and showing. So, all right. So our next topic is going to be about aluminum insert bedding versus glass bedding versus pillar bedding. What's your preference? I do not have any bedding experience other than the way it came when I bought it. So I'm going to pass. So Justin,
Um, I would imagine glass bedding is probably the best way to go, because the stock is, actually like making 100% contact with the receiver, or the action. Um, a proper glass bedded job should be the most accurate way you can go. Um, a lot of stocks have aluminum inserts like HS Precision and, about anybody that makes a nice fiberglass stock. Um, as far as ease of use and getting an action in and out of the stock, aluminum bedded stocks are pretty quick and easy and repeatable. Um, you could pillar bed a gun to enhance the accuracy of a wooden stock or laminate stock. There's different rifles. There's going to lend different things you can do to them. But I guess you could glass bed anything, even if it's aluminum. So if you have a rifle that don't shoot, you can definitely play with the bedding and maybe bring it in.
what about you, Dave?
I was just looking at mine. Mine are all glass bedded, and some have one pillar in, some have two, some have zero. They're all rimfire actions. So the pillars, I I guess they're good. I can't say they help in the rimfire, and I know in the center fire, they definitely help having pillars and vetting. It's the way to go if you want accuracy. As for the rimfire, I can't see much difference from one pillar or two pillars or no pillars. They're all glass bedded, and I wouldn't shoot one that's not glass bedded. It makes the rifle stable. It gives it a balance and its stability on the action, which you need to have. And then with a free floated barrel, now you just have to work on other things.
Hillbilly.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've always kind of heard the glass bedding's better. Now I've really not got into much of that and stuff, so yeah, I need to maybe borrow George's sign down there. So
It's for rent.
Well, Hasbro, I know with you building muzzle loaders and all that stuff, you've had to have bedded a rifle somewhere along the way.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
All of those are going to be glass bedded. Acro glass is the type I use the most. Those are done as much for accuracy as they are to kind of stabilize the stock and things like that. So kind of similar but different goals. On modern rifles, I've pillar bedded them. I've glass bedded them both at the same time. And the only reason I do pillar bedding more than anything else is just to get consistent torque. That's it, right? The glass bedding is more about harmonics and dampening the action and things like that. But the other is about torque. And in my 22s, it's like you can see it. You can do a study. You do 15 inch pounds, 18 inch pounds, 20, and it is changing the groups. So I want to be able to repeatably torque the action, whatever the system.
Mr. Bob Davalino said this is one of those airplane topics. It's over his head. Hey, before I go to Mike, I want to bring up something. So my 1022 that I said shoots the best, which is a Green Mountain barrel, and it's a laminate stock. When I took that gun apart, I found that someone cut a piece of, it looks to me like an old Clorox bottle. It's plastic, and it looks like the material that an old Clorox bottle is made out of. And it's cut out perfectly. It's just a little thin, like a gasket. And it goes around the ledge that the action sets down in on. So is that considered bedding, or did they put that in there as a spacer to make it ride higher and get the barrel off the stock? What do you think that was?
They made
I'm
a
betting-
shim,
Spacer.
like a
I'm
shim.
betting it's just Justin messing with you.
No, I know. I bought the gun. I bought the gun at an FFL when I took it apart to do a cleaning on it and stuff. That's why I found it, and I've left it that way because it shoots. I'm afraid to eliminate it but it just looks like a plastic gasket in there that sits right underneath the action. So
I've done the same thing before. It's just, I done it just to free float the barrel.
so it gets it elevated up enough to get the barrel off the stock. Yeah,
Just like a shim.
Right.
Yep. All right. I wondered about that. So, all right, Mike, what about you? Bedding?
No experience. I've never done pillars or any glass bedding at all. So
George?
Glass bedding and pillars together, especially in a wood stock, any stock. I don't care. Well, here, I'll show you. I hope you can see this. Might zoom in on that.
Let me blow you. Let me blow you up here.
Look at that.
Oh, those are pillars that I made. You can see them. The front one's not always noticeable, but they're pillars front and back. JB Weld is what I use for bedding compound. And you see that little hole in the middle there? That's because this is a Rimfire 40X stock. And if you don't know about 40X's, they got a screw right there that takes the ramp out. But anyway, that pillar bedding and glass bedding together is the only way to go. Even if you've got a wood stock, you need them just so when you set your torque values, they'll stay the same. Yeah, I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense to you, because that wood compresses. Even it doesn't matter what kind of wood it is, it's going to compress. And every time you take your gun out and put it back together, your torque setting will change a little bit because you're compressing the wood a little more. I don't like chasing that. So I want an aluminum pillow, front and back, and glass bedding, everything.
I was just wondering if you had a pair of boots that matched that stock.
I do actually.
Oh, all right. So the next topic, and this is going to kind of close out our stock portion for tonight. Um, do you prefer a wood stock or a laminate stock or a wrapped fiberglass stock? And we'll add to that. So, what style stock or what brand stock is your preference? So, do you like Boyd's? Do you like Macmillan? Do you like a thumb hole stock? Do you like a Monte Carlo stock? I mean, just what what style, what type of material, and what brand? And while everybody's talking, I got some pictures on here of different type stocks that I'll throw up and take down as we're talking. So for me, I like wood and laminate. Um, I like I like the old traditional rifles, like the old 52s and the Remington 513s. But then I also like vertical grip stocks too. So you don't typically find that in those older wooden guns. So um, some people like thumb hole stocks, but I can't get comfortable on a thumb hole stock. So that thumb hole's not for me. So Justin, what would be your preference, buddy?
I'm kind of all over the place with what I have. I shoot a lot of different classes. Um, I shoot vintage rifles, and I've got a factory class CZ MTR, and it has a vertical grip. I really like profiles of the MTR stocks. They're kind of like the old Anschutz 54s. So one thing we haven't kind of covered, but with wooden stocks, they're prone to expanding and contracting with the humidity. If like a musical instrument staying in tune, basically, through temperature change or whatever, humidity change, a wooden stock is doing the same thing. Um, so that's one inconsistency in wood stocks is, humidity and temperature. Um, that's one reason why glass bedding helps them out a lot. Um, you're still getting that same bearing surface contact with the action and the stock with that bedding. But I'm kind of all over the place with what I have. If I was building a gun for utmost accuracy, I like the Macmillan style stocks. My Cooper has a Macmillan stock on it with a like 3-inch wide fore end and free floated. The rear of the stock has, like a real straight taper like that. So it rides the rear back real well. Just depends on what you're doing with the gun.
This rifle right here almost looks as good as George's Dasher. I'm telling you, that Dasher he's got's sharp.
That's beautiful.
It's
looking
pretty
rifle.
rifle. Yep. So what about you, Dave? What's your preference? Wood stock, laminate stock, fiberglass? I do got a fiberglass stock in layaway.
How about if I show you a couple? Here is
Hold on, let
just
me
a
blow you up here.
walnut stock. This is just a walnut stock. I've tried it. It's just a standard walnut stock. It shoots good. It's out of a 40X. And then I have laminate stocks.
Real quick for YouTube, these are just stocks. They're not a rifle.
Piece of wood.
Right.
Piece-
This is just a piece of wood. This is a blank. As you can see, it's not inletted. Now, and it's not refinished. This is what they look like when they're done. This is one that's done.
Nice.
It's inletted, and this is what it'll look like when it's completely done. And these are laminate stocks. Do I use them? Yes. And then this is a Macmillan stock. This is a all fiberglass stock, and it's bedded, as you can see. And it has a hole in the back. You can add weight right there. That's how you shoot different matches. And this is a Macmillan stock. And then last is what's called a composite stock. They look like this. This is a bare bones. It's a 3-inch stock. It's been bedded, as you can see. It's nothing fancy, and it's a composite stock. Do I use? I use all of them. I'm not partial to any of them. I like the laminates best, and I like the fiberglass. They all have good and bad points. You just have to try them and see what suits you best. That's about
Dave,
the best I could describe it.
Dave, I was going to tell you, you didn't have to disassemble all your rifles for tonight's show, buddy.
I bet he has a few more than that.
Yeah.
All right, Hillbilly, what about you?
If you went into my,
Go ahead, Dave.
Go
Finish
ahead,
what you're
Dave.
saying, buddy.
I have probably in my basement down there where my shop is, I would say there's probably close to 35 or 40 stocks down there that I've tried and made over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
you try them if you like them, and if you don't, move on.
My
I don't know
goodness.
whether you heard about it or not, but there's this Adopt a Hillbilly program. I'm pretty much number one on the list.
You betcha.
Hillbilly,
Yeah, if
we
you're
ain't,
gonna-
talk,
it-
we ain't talking
you're gonna-
about you, Hillbilly.
No, we're real hillbillies, hillbilly.
He says if he doesn't like it, it's time to move on. Well, I think there's something else you need to move on. Move on some of them stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move 'em on down.
Yeah, let's see some of them in the mailbox.
Well,
I was-
you have to tell me what you're looking for. I have something for it, I'm sure.
Well,
I
I'll
was
build a
gonna
rifle
say-
around whatever you send.
I'll say my favorite stock's the one, whichever one Dave sends to me. But no, yeah, man, there's so many different ones out there, and I don't really know that I've had enough experience with all the different ones. For me, the thumb hole placement, it's not that important for me. I'd rather lay my thumb over the top. So, when you have a stock that's got a nice curve down over it, and so when you set your hand on, your trigger hand on there, that it's just nice and comfortable. And for bench rest, the wider bottom on those, stocks really can make I think a pretty big difference. So, but yeah, I've not shot enough different ones of them to really, have much of an opinion on this. So.
What about you, Hasbro?
Well, let me show you my favorite. See if I can do this.
Is it going to be a
Get the
BB
right-
gun stock?
No, I got to get the right screen. I hope I get this right.
Don't say Red
Big
Rider.
Tyler
on it.
Maple.
See if you see that. Do you see that?
Yeah.
It depends on, and this is what I say. This is how I define my stock.
Beautiful.
When you do your own custom stock, put money into it. Okay. So if you want a beautiful custom look and wood feel, spend the money. That's a $700 piece of wood that I started with to build that gun.
Wow.
But that's an heirloom gun, right? You just can't. You'll always be looking at that. And you never want to say, I wish I had, because you're almost 500 hours into a build on these things. So
Hey,
Man,
you
Bro,
never,
can you blow it up a little bit? I think I seen some custom engraving on there that said Kentucky Rimfire. Are you bringing that with you when you come down?
I will if you want to shoot it. There you go. But yeah, it doesn't say Kentucky Rimfire, and this one won't. This was built for my father-in-law. And unfortunately, it's passed, and now the rifle's back to me. But
beautiful, buddy.
yeah,
What?
so
It's
the
pretty.
point is, if you're going to go real wood, spend the money, get what you really want, and then put time and effort into it. That may be pillar bedding, that may be glass bedding, but get what you want. And same thing when it comes to composites. If you're going to go composite, you might as well start and end with carbon fiber, just
Yep.
because of its stability and strength, etc.
Yep.
It's just spend the money
Exactly.
and then make sure it's done to give you accuracy, because you're going to be unhappy with either one. If it doesn't look the way you want, if it's not accurate, you're going to be unhappy. So that's what I got.
Yep.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's beautiful, buddy. And I didn't think about this, Chad, but I guess I am in the stocks, the stock market, but that's a little different. That's a whole nother.
I was gonna say you trade stocks every morning, and from what I've
Yeah.
known about you. So, all right, Mike. What about you, buddy? Which one you prefer? You got a little bit of
I'm
everything, though.
Yeah, I love the a beautiful piece of walnut. They're just so pretty to look at. I wish I could find the time to refinish some of the stuff I've got in my Stevens collection. Part of me doesn't want to, but I know that the wood is so much more beautiful under that patina than what what I've got. Uh, but then it's also kind of hard to beat the old Polypro, FV, polymer Savage, stock too, though, with that, see that bedding in there and everything. Yep, yep. Hard to beat one of these with a little bit of duct tape. So,
I I got a free one for you anytime you want it.
oh, I've already got two. I don't need any more.
Mhm.
What broke on that gun? The the stud on the stock broke off when you torqued it, or
So, if you can zoom in, so the sling swivel stud on these,
yeah,
uh, actually just screws into the polymer here, right? So
yeah,
by over torquing that Harris style bipod, tightening it down and down and down, it eventually pulled this right out of the polymer. And what I did was I put a longer slings stud through it with a nut on the top of it and some washers to prevent it from pulling out. And uh, Country Rimfire had the same thing happen to him, and I told him how to fix it. So it's not uncommon, because while it's a beautiful piece of polymer here, they are not indestructible. You have to be careful with them.
yeah. Well, we lost George, so he must not have had
Nope.
nothing to say about it. Anyways, all
A
right.
beautiful piece of polymer.
Yeah, beautiful. He's
And
back.
that's black. That's black polypropylene number 5.
George, we thought you got
And there's
mad
a,
and left us, babe.
No, it just kicked off for whatever reason. I don't know
Yeah.
what I missed.
Well, it's your turn to tell us what style stock is your favorite. It's going to be like a 6 dasher, right?
Well,
I wish
no,
I
I like
wish you
wood stocks. That maple stock that he had on that muzzle loader, I'm going to build one of those one of these days, just like that, in a 36 squirrel rifle.
so
That's
I've
one of these days. But to me, my favorite stock for Benchrest is a McMillan Edge. Dave held one up there a while ago. That red. That's what the Panda's sitting in. But as for Rimfire, they are absolutely my favorite. Macmillan Edge. Second to that is a Macmillan Bruno Edge. But my favorite stock ever, right here, 40X Rangemaster. Got a high cone. They got a pretty flat forearm on it. It's about, I don't know, 2.5, 2.25, somewhere right in there. 2.25, I think. These to me, the 40X Rangemaster is just one of the best design stocks ever, in my opinion.
I think my wife's got a purse that'll match that.
He's a buddy of mine. Had a hydro dip business down in Tennessee for a while, so he did that for me.
That looks sweet.
Yep.
Yeah,
He said he had
nice.
to. He said he had the matching boots.
If he says matching underwear, I'm hanging up.
You better know it, brother.
All right,
Man, I
guys.
swing every now and then.
We're going to jump over here into triggers, and this is probably going to go pretty fast. But so for our Benchrest 22 rifle that we're building, it's our dream gun. We've talked about our stocks, we've talked about our barrels, we've talked about our actions. If you're building a rifle and it's your dream gun, what's your favorite trigger for the rifle you're building or one of the rifles you own? What's going to be your go-to trigger? I don't have a whole lot of experience with aftermarket triggers for anything other than AR. I did have a Timney trigger in a Ruger Precision Rimfire, and I really liked that trigger. And then I recently put a trigger tech in my Bagara BMRX, which really was a mistake because changing the trigger in that gun, now I'm not allowed to shoot it at my match. In the factory, it's a factory class gun, but I can't shoot it in a factory class because I changed the trigger. So I may end up going back to the stock trigger. But and then for my custom build that I am gearing up to build, I ordered a Rifle Basics, and it is a 2-ounce to 6-ounce trigger. And then I've not got to feel it yet on it, but in watching Dave's videos, I can tell they're a good 700 style trigger. As far as semi-autos go, I'm going to throw this in there. I know a lot of y'all are not semi-auto people, but I've done so much trigger work to 1022s that I'm pretty good at polishing my own and getting it smooth and getting the weight down to where I want it. But I recently acquired a Kid 2-stage trigger, and it's got 3 ounces of creep and 3 ounces of brake, and it is awesome. It's very awesome. So, Justin, what about you, buddy? What's your trigger?
I got a few old 52s. I think one of them has a can jar trigger in it. It's probably my favorite trigger that I own on anything. As far as that goes, it's probably my favorite trigger. I like Timley. I got a lot of Geisley AR-15 platform triggers that I like a lot. But there's a lot of good triggers out there. Trigger Tech's probably a company that's coming on strong here lately. They make pretty good products. I think all new Remington rifles, I think, or either Timley, I think, is putting all the triggers in all the new Remington rifles now. And I think Bagara is all Trigger Tech, so there's good triggers.
All right, Dave, you've built a gazillion 22 rifles. What's your favorite trigger?
Well, if there's no limit, I would buy the Italian trigger, a Favio or a Bixenandi, if money's not a problem. They're very nice triggers, but they're very, very expensive. And then if you come down a little bit, the Trigger Check Diamond is the next least expensive trigger. And then I shoot the Rifle Basic trigger. They're economical, and the service department is good. I have Timony triggers. I have 40X triggers. I have Schillen triggers. I have Favio. I have Bixenandis. I have all the triggers, and most of them are Rifle Basic because if you go to a shoot, the most common problem is a trigger failure, and then you can't finish the match. So if you have the same trigger in all your rifles, it's easy to keep one spare, and that's what I do. So I can't pick any good trigger. They're all good triggers. It's just how much you want to spend.
You know what else you have with all those triggers?
What?
You have my address.
You send one with the
I
stone.
do.
All right, Hillbilly, what's your trigger?
Well, maybe I need a better trigger so I don't get a sore finger on my left hand from switching over from right hand to left. But
Poor guy.
and that's the truth, man. I told Chad, I'm like, my
Here's Phil.
finger's sore. It's hurting. I guess just the way you move the muscle. You know, I'm not used to shooting left-handed, and yeah, it hurt for a couple days.
I drank hard seltzer. My finger hurts.
Oh man. But for me, I have a Timney and an AR that I like real well. Now a few of my 22s, they got Aki triggers in them, and they seem to be pretty sweet. I think might be totally wrong on this, but you know, adjustable trigger, would always be super nice, you know. And I am very cautious about, you know, when you do have someone with a light trigger about letting somebody else shoot it because they're not used to a light trigger. And so always kind of beware on that, you know, if a buddy or family members want to shoot something, because, you know, there's some light triggers out there that people are just not used to at all. But,
Yep. Hasbro.
I got too many triggers for this discussion. when it comes to ARs, I'm all in anymore on LaRue MBT. I have 9 of them. They are just amazing triggers for the money. When it comes to, well, I changed my F-class FTR, so it's no longer FTR until I put it back, to a dual trigger for a Remington platform. And that's an older, like, you know, 70s, 80s maybe style trick, but it is amazing. And I got it set at 4 ounces. So on a 308, you got to be pretty careful not to get scoped.
yeah.
But on factory triggers, right? So the factory X-Mark Pro, I shot competitively in that, and a lot of people complain about it, but it was fine. The Savage Accu trigger, I leave them alone. I've got the what's the other one? The guys mentioned, not the Accu trigger, the
Timney.
Trigger Tech.
no,
Jar.
Rifle Basics.
Rifle
I got the
Basics.
Rifle Basics trigger to put in that gun. I've never put it in because I've been so happy with the Accu trigger when I adjusted it and worked on it a little bit. So yeah. And then 1022, I'm completely with Chad. It's kid all the way. Now I have several others, including BX triggers, including other custom triggers, but nobody can touch kid. I've got their 2-stage trigger like you have. And then I just recently put in their single stage upgrade kit, and it's actually really good. And it's like $130 on sale or something like that using Cyclops Joe's discount. Thanks, Joe. But yeah,
The two-stage trigger is something that I had to get used to. Like,
yeah,
it's different.
I didn't think about it because it's in every one of my ARs now. I'm just used to that, right? Come back to the wall and I'm comfortable, ready to go.
Yeah.
But kid triggers are, but they're, you talk about, Dave, you talk about expensive triggers. That kid two-stage trigger was $410.
Wow.
Now, I have a problem with that. I spent that, but that trigger shouldn't be that much money. But they're the only game in town, so they can get it.
So if you got that through Joe, so that I assume that's a Joe kid.
Yep, Cyclops Joe kid.
Clint Eastwood.
And Joe, if you're still on here, thank you. He doesn't make a dime off that, by the way.
Yeah.
But he got a code, and it helps.
One of my favorite movies, Joe Kidd.
Mike, what about you, buddy?
The 1022, I put a BX in it because the trigger that came in it was horrendous. The B14, I put a trigger tech in because that 8 or 9 pound trigger that comes in that $900 rifle without a rail on it, and then to have a 9 pound trigger from the factory, that's what's in this box, is that horrid Bergara 9 pound trigger. So I put a Remington, or not a Remington, a Trigger Tech Special in it. So this is just the old trigger in the box.
That's the same.
And then the only other trigger I've ever,
my BMRX.
Yep. And then the only other trigger I've ever messed with was I took this AccuTrigger out of my FTR Savage when I was doing that, and I shouldn't have, because this thing crapped the bed on me. And the Savage AccuTrigger that's in the box never did. And I quit shooting it, and the broken Timney's still in that barreled action in a safe right now that hasn't been shot in years for it. So I will tell you again, and it's not because I'm a Savage fanboy, but I love the AccuTrigger. I like a 3 pound trigger, and those things are, in my opinion, indestructible. I don't know how many matches I've been at, and people, like Dave said, the trigger is going to be a thing that kills your day for you. I've seen people fumbling around trying to fix a Bix and Andy or something like that. You don't see people doing that with Savage AccuTriggers. So,
yep. So, George.
Well, if you talk about Savages, other than the Target AccuTrigger is freaking great. The rifle basics, you're about limited to on Savage to just have a decent trigger. Other than Savages, I'm a Remington dude. 3 lever, rifle basics. I use those a lot. This particular one said about right at 4 ounces, I believe. You can, if you keep your eye out, a lot of times, like on Accurate Shooter and places like that, you can find, like this is a gunsmith built 3 lever. I don't know where you can see I get it where you can see. See those 3 little pins?
Yep.
Those are for the 3 lever. And
We lost him.
Did you boot
now
him?
we're just looking at you.
No, why did it go to me solo?
I don't know. I'd say he must be having internet troubles because he got dropped while ago earlier.
Yeah. So,
hey Chad, before you move on triggers, we didn't talk about the Yo Dave when it comes to 457s.
and
I've done both, right? And I still have a factory trigger with a Yo Dave trigger spring in, and I've got a Timney in it now. And if I had to do it again, I love the Timney, But a $17 spring versus a $180 trigger, there's not that much difference.
Right. So the last tidbit of this discussion here tonight, because we're getting close to the hour and a half mark, really close. So we'll go around the room, and do you like a single stage or a two stage? What's your preferred pull weight? And also, that's the last thing I was going to talk about is the spring kits, like the Yo-Deep spring
Oh,
kit.
I'm sorry.
Do you feel like it's worth it? So I bought a CZMTR that already had the Yo-Dave in it. I didn't put it in; it was already in there, and it pulls at, I want to say it was like 6 ounces. It is extremely light, and it was just a spring kit, and I loved it. Um, Justin, he put the spring kit in his. What did it get you down to, Justin?
I think just like 15 ounces, something like that. I
No,
put in several.
I might be wrong. I believe mine was 14 ounces.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
They're
So
just under a pound normally.
yeah. So yeah, that spring kit. I mean, if you don't want to buy a whole trigger, that's definitely the way to go. And even on a semi-auto, there's sear spring kits that you can get for a 1022 and change the sear springs and get a lot more out of a factory trigger as well. Because I mean, I've had some 1022s that had like 7-pound triggers in them, and that's ridiculous. So real quick around the room, single stage, two stage, what's your preferred pull weight? Because I think we've already covered like what our brand preference is and all that. So we'll just make that our last topic. So single stage or two stage, and what's your preferred pull weight? So for me, I like that two stage trigger, but I'm more comfortable on a single stage trigger, and I like my trigger in low ounces, low like um, anything less than a pound. I, I I feel like I'm more accurate with it. So, Justin, what about you?
I have set triggers. I have two stage, single stage, all that. I prefer a single stage trigger. Two stage triggers are, it's kind of like a jack in the box sometimes on them going off to me. I don't know, but I like them for Benchrest. I like it being in ounces, definitely under a pound. Um, One limited factor with what you do with the trigger is the class that you're shooting in. Some classes you may be able to put a spring kit in. Some, if you change out the trigger, it may throw you into like from factory to precision or something. So that's a limiting factor on what you can do to a gun that really nobody's talked about. But I like single stage.
All right, Dave.
Oh, it's real easy. I like a light trigger, 2 to 3 ounces, and they're all the same in all my rifles, except for I think I have a 52B that doesn't have a 2-ounce trigger. That's the only one I can think of. Other than that, 2 ounces all the way.
Hillbilly.
Ah, man, I like a light trigger for bench rest. Other than that, I'm wanting something a little heavier.
Hasbro.
I could shoot either one. I don't even think about single stage or two stage because if I go to a match, I know the gun, I'm practiced with it. Doesn't matter. I grew up hunting with two stage triggers, but in very traditional ones, and that's muzzleloader, where you have a double set trigger. And if you do that, that's why I don't even think about two stage, right? You can do heavy trigger or light trigger, build into the type of triggers you build into the muzzleloader. But When it goes to bench rest, though, the lightest one I have is 1 3/4 pounds. Or the heaviest one, I mean. I'm sorry. And the lightest is set at 4 ounces right now.
What about you, Mike?
Don't have a preference, single or two stage. And again, the lightest I've got triggers that'll go down to a pound. The lightest on anything I have is set at 2.5 pounds. I do not like a light trigger. It's probably because I shoot a lot in cold months with gloves on, and I've seen too many bad things happen with that. So it's just too easy to rub up against it the wrong way when I think I'm being perfectly safe. So.
George.
Single stage, 2 ounce is a little piece of heaven to me. Now, I've got a Anschutz. Y'all seen them videos, man, shooting that Anschutz. It's got a set trigger. Holy cow, boy. You got to shoot that gun to appreciate it. I just love it. But for the most part, if I can't shoot a heavy trigger. I was going to show you a while ago, I've got like 40X triggers. Some 40X triggers you get, they're really good. You can get them at 2 to 6 ounces. Some of them, like that one, 3 pounds is as good as you can get it. It's one reason I like shooting actions that take a Remington trigger, because there's so many good options out there for triggers. But yeah, 2 ounce, man. 2 ounce.
Yep.
Single stage, 2 ounce.
Way the wind's been blowing around here, I don't know if I could use a 2 ounce. One might blow.
Probably said it all.
Back to Mike's point.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, guys. We'll run around the room here and tell everybody what you got coming up, and plug anything you want to plug, and we'll get this show closed out. George, we'll start with you, buddy.
But man, if the wind quits blowing, hopefully I've got a martini coming that I'm going to be shooting a lot. I just ordered some test lots of ammo for it, some Ely, and hopefully get to shoot that some. Man, the wind's just been so crazy around here. You ain't gonna able to do nothing. I caught one good day the other day. I made a little short video where I shot the dasher out there at 400, but that's been the only time I've been able to shoot.
Yeah, because you get that
soon as
2 ounce trigger.
weather gets right, buddy, I'm on a hammer.
I don't see how you shoot that dasher. The stock's so glossy on it; it blinds you.
You gotta see it to appreciate it, brother.
Mike, what you got coming up, buddy?
I am hoping to get out and cut some cans this weekend. I haven't done that yet. And I need to wrap up my little review series of the Eagle Blaze CV Life. So that's all I've got going on this coming week. Maybe I'll have a chance to shoot some other people's targets and get that on the channel, but nothing big for me.
Hasbro.
Well,
Have you
I hope
put
to,
the BB guns away?
no. When it's bad weather, I'll break them out again. That's more or less what I shoot them now. But yeah, I'm trying to destroy some cans and vent some frustration on aluminum cans. Got a bunch of other challenges to shoot, but man, it's like the weather when I'm shooting is not good. And tomorrow I'm going to try, but it's going to be bad weather. So we'll see. If it's bad weather, I'll be indoors cutting cans with one of too many BB guns.
I watched that video earlier.
So Hillbilly, he's got something to tell us about. Maybe he'll enlighten us about this right here.
Yeah, that still needs a little bit of work, but yeah, I've been planning on this for a while. I said I'll wait till spring so everybody can get outside and shoot it, but we do have a hard seltzer challenge coming up, and I've sent out to a few people for some testing and see what they think about it. And so what I'm wanting to do with that is, we'll let it run for like a couple months or however long, just so everybody can, make sure they got time to shoot it. But we will be having like a few different classes in the Benchrest, 22, but also I will design one for a pistol. So, people, don't shoot Benchrest, they can shoot with a pistol. And then I think I definitely have plans for doing a Benchrest BB gun. Hasbro puts out so many of these awesome BB gun ones, but let's throw it on a bench and see how they'll shoot. So I'm trying to make it to where everybody can get involved, and I'll reach out to a few sponsors and this and that, and see if we can't get like some good prizes for people that want to try it, and all that. So anyway, yeah, hopefully we'll just have some fun with it. And then tomorrow night we got Guns, Beer, and Therapy every Saturday night at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on my channel, Hillbilly Up. So if you ain't doing nothing, swing by and visit us. I do believe it's roughly the middle of the month, so we'll be doing not only our regular giveaway, but we'll do our monthly giveaway, which will be last month. And so we'll have a few giveaways over there tomorrow night. So anyway, other than that, just trying to get some videos out. I tried cutting the can yesterday and was not successful with 50 rounds. So anyway, that video will be coming out soon. And yeah, I got a few other ones coming out. So thanks for having me, buddy. Always appreciate it. A lot of fun. Great panel and side chat.
What about you, Dave? What you got coming up, buddy?
Well, the wind is blows here every day, so I'm going to take care of for the next 2 days. I have one special project. I got to mail a package down to Kentucky. I hope to get that done tomorrow. And then I got to do the honeydew list. I got to take care of the yard work, get the furniture out, get everything done so she's all smiling. And then next week, if it gets real nice, I can go out and do some shooting and have me some fun.
Yeah.
So that's my plan.
Shooting and
Isn't that-
fishing.
Spring cleaning, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Justin, what you got coming up, buddy?
Yeah, we're right in the middle of turkey season, so I'm gonna try to turkey hunt in the morning and Sunday morning. Still haven't got one, and hopefully do some shooting before the weekend's out.
Right.
Yeah, we still got a box of ammo that we need to shoot for Hillbilly.
Yeah, we got some challenge targets we need to do.
The Fiocchi.
Yeah. I'm surprised to see what you fellers can do with that ammo.
Yeah, we're gonna make a video out of it. All right, guys. Well, I was on vacation last week. My wife had surgery, so I got caught up on some videos, and I got videos scheduled on YouTube all the way out until June the 18th. So, dropping 2 videos a week plus the live. So that's 3 times a week. You get to see Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies up on the screen. So I hope you guys go over and check out the channel and you enjoy that content. I appreciate everybody that gets on here and participates in the side chat. I saw as many as 40 some viewers in here tonight, and that is awesome. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place. I hope everybody has a good week. I hope everybody had a good Friday, a Good Friday. And also, I hope everybody has a happy Easter. Tell them good night, everybody.
Night,
Night all.
everybody.
Night,
Night,
y'all.
guys.
Good night, all.
Have a good one.